Hello everybody and welcome back to another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to go over anything related to the old school RuneScape community this week. Now this week we did get another content update, more content from poll number 72. Again, for the most part, quality of life changes, but on top of that, the time and way that updates are put into the game are actually going to be changing. Notably, the update day is now going to be Wednesday over Thursday. Now we'll go over that in a minute, but I just wanted to ask you guys something before we started the video. Would you prefer to see update videos on Wednesday when the update came out, or on Thursday where we could go over the update and the weekly Q&A? If the update video was on Wednesday, you'd get the main information quicker. On Thursday, you'd get all of the information at once. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like, always helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much, and let's get started. Okay, so today we got a content update and it was called Dark Graceful and Other Changes. Again, more stuff from poll number 72 that has been slowly trickling out. Now, probably the biggest change of the week is Dark Graceful is now darker. Now, Black Graceful is something people wanted for a long time, but when it came out with the Hallowed Sepulchre, most people thought it looked kind of more like Gray Graceful, so it got the nickname Graceful. Now initially they said it couldn't be done, but through massive leaps in technology and a massive human effort, thousands of hours, they have made the Graceful set a few shades darker. I'm kidding, it does look a lot better, and they are of course working with an extremely outdated game engine, so I can't blame them. Okay, another very minor change here to the Saradomin Halo in Castle Wars. To make it more in line with the Saradomin God alignment, they've decided to make it blue. Now next up here, the gem bag has gotten its own quality of life change. Now the empty option has been changed slightly. It now allows you to transfer all of the gems to your inventory at once, starting with sapphires. Mainly a change for Ironman, but still pretty useful. Now next up here, Snape Grass has now been added to the list of super compostable materials. Now previously, Snape Grass only gave you regular compost, which is kind of outdated because Snape Grass is pretty hard to obtain compared to even the rest of the super compostable materials. So after today's update, it's now one of them. Now on top of that, both clean and grimy versions of most of the higher tier herbs will also yield super compost, so toadflax, avanto, quorum, snapdragon, cadentine, latentime, dwarfweed, and torsel. I couldn't really ever see a circumstance where you'd want to do that, but the option is there. And finally here, there's a list of even smaller updates. A couple notable ones though, the Beacon Ring has now been added to Purdue's shop. You can now buy it for 6,000 GP. The Beacon Ring is actually kind of a useful item if you don't have any other mage ring, so it's nice you can go reclaim it very easily. Okay, another really notable one, the Achievement Diary Cape has had its teleport limit removed, which is good because most of the teleports aren't that useful. With that said though, there are a few notable, somewhat useful teleports, like the one to the Shanty Pass, which is very close to the Calphite Cave. The one to Relica could be kind of useful. The one to the Flax Keeper is kind of close to Sherlock. So not that the cape is unlimited, there probably are a couple of useful teleports. And that is it for today's game update. Oh, well that's kind of exciting guys. Just as I was doing this update video, a new update just popped up at the top. So this one is going to be like hot off the press, only a couple minutes old. So a new update just dropped called a Porcine of Interest. Now this is going to be a novice level quest that is kind of going to be an introduction to Slayer. Now they re-explain at the top here that because a couple of updates are getting pushed back to 2021, like clans, group Ironman, and boss Slayer being shelved for now, they say your feedback was clear, there's too much focus on Slayer when other skills are in need of love. Ironically, this quest is an introduction to Slayer, but still I think it's a good idea. So like I said, a new novice level quest called a Porcine of Interest. Now the whole questline is going to revolve around the Falador farm. Each morning Sarah wakes up to find her crops destroyed, her cows cowering, and her loyal sheepdog looking sheepish. Now they state that Slayer is a popular skill, but there isn't much in the early game that encourages a new player to try it and benefit from its particular rewards. Now their aim with the quest is to make Slayer as accessible as possible, demonstrate the value of the skill to new players, and add some fun and exciting gameplay for OSRS noobs. Now there is no requirements to starting the quest, and there are a couple of interesting rewards. Now first up here, you're going to get 1,000 Slayer experience, which will be enough to get you from level 1 to 9. You're going to get 5,000 GP and notably 30 Slayer reward points. Now that's pretty useful to begin with because you get a ton of bad tasks, especially when you get up to Vandika. You don't really ever have the points to really skip much, so at least you'll get one free skip to begin with. And on top of that, you're going to get access to a new Slayer task. The new Slayer task is going to be called the Porcine Pest, and it's going to be a new Slayer monster assigned only by Turiel once you've done the quest, and they'll be in quantities of 15 to 50. Now they're going to be located in a cave underground, and they're going to be in single way combat, however you can cannon them. if you want to speed things up. Now on top of that, they're going to be adding in a new Slayer item, which is going to be some kind of protective goggles. So it's going to be included in the Slayer helm, but if you already have a Slayer helm, you don't need to add it. Your Slayer helm's not going to become broken or anything like that. It'll just automatically be put in there, I guess. And that is it. Only one poll question. Would you like the new novice level quest added? Yes or no? Now personally, I think it is a really good idea. Novice and early game content is really what ties the whole world together. It's what introduces new players to the game, and something that I think is greatly overlooked most of the time. So I'm really happy to see that we're going to be getting some novice level quests and updates, even if it doesn't really affect me too much. And I think they found a good balance of making the quests still kind of useful, because early game Slayer is really slow, so getting 1,000 experience is still going to be nice, but definitely not meta changing by any means. And that is it for today's game updates. Now on top of that, this week we got some information on future scheduling changes. Now as it is currently, we have an update on Thursday and a live stream or a Q&A update on Wednesday. Now that is going to be changing a bit. So now going forward, we're going to have the updates on Wednesday morning at 11:30 BST. Now the weekly live streams are going to be moved to Thursday, which means they're going to be after the update. So it hasn't been clarified yet whether the weekly Q&A is going to be talking about the following week or the week that just happened. Most likely it's going to be a recap of what just happened, which honestly I'm not a huge fan of. I preferred having a Q&A before the update dropped. I feel like it gives you a lot of information for the next day. But I also understand that most likely if they do the Q&A on Thursday, they don't have enough information on the next week's update to answer questions effectively. Now the final thing worth mentioning here is next week, again, we're not going to be having any game update. It says the jagex family are putting down their tools to take a couple days to focus on personal development and skills growth. However, with that said, there will be a live stream. And that is it for all of the official update information this week. Okay, and finally here, we're going to do a quick recap of this week's Q&A. Now in the beginning, they always do an update on what each team member has been working on. The only notable thing here is apparently the poll blog for the fishing boss is most likely going to come out in the next couple of weeks. They even thought about having it next week, but they're going to push it back a little bit as I think that's a bit too soon. Now there's a couple of questions on Mahogany Homes. For Mahogany Homes, would you focus on an area like Berg de Rot that looks like it needs a lot of fixing up? Mart Arcane says he likes the idea, but is not going to be included this time, but could be included in a future expansion to the Mahogany Homes. Will the plank sack apply for Ultimate Ironman? Now after a few days, they decided to poll this question separately, so they're not quite sure the answer to that yet. It's really going to depend on how the Ultimate Ironman community votes for this update. Is there going to be a new master step added with Mahogany Homes? They said it would make sense to maybe add the full carpenter outfit, but they're not quite sure yet. Would it be possible to get more wall kits as rewards? They know in general that people really like wall kits and they're well received, so they would like to add more. It would be fitting also to have multiple with Mahogany Homes, although currently they're only planning for one with the release. The main issue here is it takes a lot of art time to design these, but they were pretty positive to the idea. And finally here, what are your thoughts on adding redwood planks? This is something that has been brought up a lot, and it's something they want to do eventually. And adding in a use to redwoods is something we'd like to do eventually. Construction would make the most sense, but also would require the most amount of dev time to make a redwood equivalent for every furniture piece. And they are a little bit hesitant just because of how many redwood logs people have stocked up. Now just for general questions here, why are you pulling a Slayer quest when you pulled the Slayer Boss Master? Now they view this update more as a low-level quest rather than a Slayer update, even if the reward is to do a Slayer. How long will the quest be? For an experienced player, probably only 5 to 10 minutes. For a low-level player, potentially upwards of 20 minutes. Now you're going to be releasing a new monster with it. How strong are the beasts going to be? Well, if you don't use the proper equipment, it's going to be kind of hard. Mod Mac compared it to a slightly easier Count Draenor. It is a low-level monster after all, so it won't be that hard. And finally here, do you have an update on account services? Currently, they're still investigating it, and they're working with their legal team. They want to make sure they can actually take action against these services before they actually make a rule change. They're looking to work with third parties like Discord to see if we can get them taken down. Anyway guys, that's it for the Q&A, and that's going to be all for the weekly recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now before I go here, I want to thank Heathen Lock Games, Double Talk, Nathan Ashworth, and the rest of my members over on YouTube. Thank you for making the dream possible, and I really appreciate your support. If you're looking for a way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is an excellent way to do so. You'll get access to a custom Discord role, emojis when I stream, and being mentioned in the description of my videos at the end of the video or personally addressed. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.